Marcus Reynolds pulled his orange maintenance uniform from his locker, preparing for another evening shift at Sterling Towers. At 32, he'd been working as a janitor for 3 years, cleaning the luxury apartments that housed some of the city's wealthiest residents. It wasn't glamorous work, but it paid the bills and allowed him flexible hours to care for his 5-year-old daughter. Sophie went everywhere with him during his evening shifts. His childcare arrangement had fallen through months ago, and he couldn't afford alternatives. The building manager had reluctantly agreed to let her stay in the maintenance break room during his work hours, as long as she was quiet and didn't bother residents. Tonight, Marcus was assigned to the penthouse level, which meant Sophie would come with him. She clutched her worn stuffed rabbit and her coloring books, already knowing the routine. "Remember, sweetheart," Marcus said as they took the service elevator up. "Stay quiet, stay in the supply closet when I'm working. Can you do that?" "Yes, Daddy," Sophie said solemnly. "I'll be good." The penthouse floor was usually quiet. Most residents were out at dinner or events this time of evening. Marcus started his rounds, cleaning the hallway, while Sophie sat in the supply closet with the door cracked open. Coloring by the overhead light, he was halfway through mopping when he heard it. A sound that didn't belong in this pristine, controlled environment. Crying. Marcus followed the sound to one of the penthouse doors, slightly ajar. He knew he should probably leave it alone, but something about the raw grief in those sobs made him pause. He knocked gently. "Hello, are you all right? It's maintenance." The crying stopped abruptly. After a moment, a woman's voice called out, "I'm fine. Please go away." But she didn't sound fine. And Marcus, despite his better judgment, couldn't walk away from someone in obvious pain. "Ma'am, I don't mean to intrude, but I can hear you're upset. Do you need me to call someone for you?" A long pause. Then the door opened wider. The woman standing there was probably early 30s, beautiful in an elegant way, despite the mascara running down her cheeks. She wore a stunning silver dress that probably cost more than Marcus made in a month, her blonde hair styled elaborately. She looked like she'd been ready for a gala. Not crying alone in her apartment, Marcus recognized her. Alexandra Sterling, the CEO of Sterling Properties, the company that owned this building, among many others. Her family's name was on half the buildings in the city. "I said I'm fine," she repeated, but her voice broke on the words. "Behind Marcus." Sophie's small voice called out from the supply closet. "Daddy, is the pretty lady okay?" Alexandra's eyes went to the supply closet, surprise registering. "Is that a child? My daughter? I'm sorry. I know she's not supposed to be visible. My childcare situation, it's complicated. I'll make sure she stays out of sight." But Alexandra was looking past him at Sophie, who'd emerged from the closet holding her. "Rabbit," the little girl walked forward with the fearless sympathy of children. "Why are you crying?" Sophie asked Alexandra directly. "Did someone hurt you?" "Sophie, back in the closet," Marcus said quickly. "It's okay," Alexandra said, and to Marcus's surprise, she crouched down to Sophie's level, despite her expensive dress. "I'm crying because I was supposed to go to a party tonight, but the person I was going to go with cancelled, and I didn't want to go alone." "That's sad," Sophie said seriously. "My daddy says being alone is the hardest part of being a grown-up." Alexandra's eyes filled with fresh tears. "Your daddy is very wise." She stood, looking at Marcus with an expression he couldn't quite read. Embarrassment mixed with something else. Desperation, maybe. "This is going to sound completely insane," Alexandra said. "But would you be my date tonight?" Marcus stared at her. "I'm sorry, what? To this event? It's a charity gala for the Children's Hospital. I'm supposed to give a speech, accept an award on behalf of my company. But my date cancelled 2 hours ago, and I've been sitting here trying to convince myself to go alone, and I just can't face it. Everyone will be there with their partners, and I'll be the successful but perpetually single CEO again, and I'm so tired of that narrative. Ms. Sterling, I'm a janitor. I clean your building. I'm wearing a maintenance uniform, and I have a 5-year-old daughter who goes everywhere with me because I can't afford childcare. I don't care. Please, I'll pay you. I'll arrange childcare for Sophie. I'll get you proper clothes. Just please say yes. I can't walk into that ballroom alone again. The vulnerability in her voice got to Marcus. This wasn't the powerful CEO. It was just a lonely woman who'd been crying in her apartment while wearing a ball gown. What about Sophie? Marcus asked. Alexandra looked at the little girl, who was watching this exchange with wide eyes. Can she come? Is that weird? I don't care if it's weird. Bring her. At least then I'll have people who actually want to be there with me. 30 minutes later, Marcus found himself in a tuxedo that Alexandra had somehow procured in his size. Sophie wore a blue dress Alexandra had grabbed from a boutique's emergency delivery service. Her curly blonde hair quickly styled by Alexandra's personal stylist. They arrived at the gala in Alexandra's car, and Marcus felt completely out of his depth. But Sophie was thrilled, chattering about the fancy decorations and the lights. Stay close to me, Marcus told his daughter. This isn't our normal world. I think it's pretty, Sophie said. And the pretty lady is nice. She let me wear a princess dress. Alexandra overheard and smiled, the first genuine smile Marcus had seen from her. You look beautiful, Sophie. Like a real princess. The evening was surreal. Alexandra introduced Marcus as her date without explanation, deflecting questions with practiced grace. When people assumed he was from her social class, she didn't correct them. When Sophie got tired, Alexandra personally took her to a quiet room and let her rest on a couch, while Marcus stayed nearby. During her acceptance speech, Alexandra surprised everyone. This award recognizes sterling properties for our charitable giving. But tonight, I'm reminded that charity isn't just about writing checks. It's about seeing people. About recognizing that the single father cleaning our buildings is working just as hard to care for his daughter as I am to run a company. About understanding that dignity and worth aren't determined by job titles. She looked directly at Marcus as she spoke. Someone reminded me tonight that being alone is the hardest part of being a grown-up. So thank you to my date and his wonderful daughter for making sure I didn't have to be alone tonight. The applause was polite but confused. Marcus felt his face burning. Afterward, in the car heading home, Sophie asleep between them, Alexandra spoke quietly. Thank you. I know this was bizarre. I shouldn't have put you in that position. Why did you? Marcus asked. Really? You could have gone alone. You didn't need us. Because when I opened my door and saw a janitor who brought his daughter to work because he had no other choice, I recognized something I'd been trying to deny. That we're all just trying to make it through. Pretending we have it together. You don't pretend. You just do what you have to do. That's more honest than anything in my world. Over the next weeks, Alexandra and Marcus developed an unlikely friendship. She arranged flexible childcare for Sophie through a company program. She often invited them to dinner. Enjoying Sophie's uncomplicated joy and Marcus's straightforward perspective. 6 months later, their friendship had become something more. Marcus had been promoted to building superintendent with a substantial raise, though Alexandra insisted it was based on merit, not their relationship. 1 year after that crying encounter, they were engaged. At the wedding, Sophie was Flower Girl, proudly telling everyone how she'd helped her daddy rescue a princess who turned out to be a CEO. "You know what I remember most about that night?" Alexandra said at the reception. "You didn't judge me for crying. You didn't make me feel weak for not wanting to be alone. You just saw a person who needed help. You gave us a chance at a better life," Marcus replied. "But more than that, you let us see you. The real you, not the CEO. That took more courage than any business deal." The janitor who'd answered a cry for help had found love by choosing compassion. And the CEO who'd been too afraid to face a gala alone had learned that the right companion values honesty over status and character over social standing. If this story touched you, like, share, and subscribe. Comment about unexpected connections that changed everything.